Hello and welcome to a brand new Unsourced. We're here to discuss the brand new first and hopefully only season of the Pendragon cycle Rises of Merlin, which is based off of Stephen R. Lawhead's Pendragon cycle books. They're like six books telling the rise and fall of Camelot and King Arthur and all of that. And they're really fun. I'm going to say off the bat, and there's no disrespect to what we're going to say to Stephen R. Lawhead. He writes a mean book. It's very fun novels. I have the first one kind of sucks, and we'll get into that. But the rest of them are just really entertaining, kind of fantasy epics. And I love them. I love those books, and it's a shame and a disgrace what they did to them with this show. This is worse than Denis Villeneuve's Dune. This is worse than Wicked. And I've been very vocal about how much I hate the Wicked musical and movie because the book is so good. And this is worse than those. Like, this is disrespectful. And if you told me that Jeremy Boring, right, who is the creator and showrunner and all this, was like a hated the books too, I'd believe you. But apparently, he's a big fan. I don't know how.
Oh no.
But let's get into it. Let's see. Let's go roundtable here. Haha.
I get it.
So, have you heard? Like, so your first impression of the show? Have you heard of this before? The books, or what was your headway into this? Tony, why don't you start us off?
Yes. So I'm really, I'm excited to talk about this because I don't think I've ever done an episode on a podcast ever about the Daily Wire, but I am actually like a Daily Wire cinematic output connoisseur. I have seen every film that they've put out. Every time they put one out, I make sure to watch it. The only ones I have not seen are the hateful Matt Walsh, in quotations, documentaries, right? And I believe Candace Owens did as well. But like for me, like I've been so interested in what this is, what they are trying to do here with like trying to create like an output system for conservative media, and how this whole idea of the Daily Wire Plus and then Bent Key, which I'm sure we'll get into a bit later on, this was essentially like a giant push into making conservative media that ultimately failed. With a lot of the other stuff that they had made, even their scripted stuff, like those were relatively cheap films. Like I wouldn't imagine any of them were more than $10 million. This show, it looks expensive. And I believe like the rough figure they threw out there was like 8 figures. And certain episodes cost 7 figures specifically.
Seven
And
figures
like,
per episode times 7. Yeah.
yes, that's insane, right? And like that's such a huge leap from what they were trying to do before with like Vincent Gallo Thriller, right?
Or
And
buying budget, things to distribute.
you're buying the license to GI Joe and just re-airing that, right? And also I believe I saw somebody's comment say that like the eyebrow universe, and you're very right. Like the things about these movies is they're trying to get some kind of mainstream appeal, but the only things that are actually successful about them are when they're directly tied to like Daily Wire personalities, right? Like Lady Ballers at least had clips that people shared because oh my god, look, Ted Cruz was in it, right? But when you put something out like Terror, what was that one that Gina Carano was in? Terror on the Prairie or something? Yeah, like that's a snooze fest and nobody cared, right? And this is like another great example, like Terror on the Prairie, where it's like they put all their chips into this. They only had one Daily Wire ingenue here, and we'll get into them, but like this was a massive failure, and it's probably a large reason why Jeremy Boring is no longer the CEO in Daily Wire, and there's obviously a lot of dramatic stuff we can get into with that. But this piece right here, like it sat on they finished shooting this in 2023, right? This is 3 years out from that. Like this is something that escaped, and to talk about it, I'm very excited to talk about it because there's a reason why it almost didn't escape.
Yeah, I wish it hadn't, because God, it's to stay on those books. We're getting to the books in a moment. I want to give some background because I know that Tony hasn't read them, and Doug, I think, was familiar with them a little bit. But Doug, why don't you take your background and your first impression of the show?
I have a gun to my head right now. No, so there was a point in probably like around high school where I took a hard pivot and like dropped reading fantasy almost completely and then pivoted mostly to like sci-fi or like pulp crime stuff in terms of like genre stuff I was reading, but this was like the first 3 books were like that was like some of the last like fantasy that I read like cover to cover in that time. So I like have a vague like remembers, and I just like Arthurian fable and lore. Like you know, it's like I feel like that just folds into like my enjoyment of mythology. Like I think the world is cool, and there's lots of untapped potential, like not just in terms of these books, but in terms of like depict like yeah, we have Excalibur, and then like dot dot dot, like not a ton else. Like Green Knight's great, but like we don't have like a ton of things that like play around in this world. So like the idea of them, like they made a Pendragon series, that's interesting, but it's like the word like with even just like my vague recollections of like how the books were structured and told, I'm like, this seems like the worst way you could tell this story.
It is. Okay, so my background is I've heard this series for years. You know, I wouldn't say this is not an unknown series. Which if you look up King Arthur books, it's like one of the first ones that pops up. And so I was always wanted to read them. It was daunting because I would look at the Wikipedia page for it and be like, okay, the first 2 were written close together. The third one had some production issues where he only wrote like a couple of like the first 2 parts of that last novel, but then the series got canceled and he had to wrap it up. And he wrote 2 interquels that fit into that novel that were meant to be read there. And it's like, I don't know, too much for me. Like I felt like it was a little bit daunting. But when it got announced, I'm like, I need to read it. I need to read those novels because I don't want my perception to be filtered by whatever shit show this is going to end up being. And that was, I'm going to say, it was for good and for bad because now I have like a clear vision of what those novels are and they're untainted by remembering of these. I would not be motivated to read those books based off of this show. It's not a Game of Thrones thing as badly as it wants to be, where it's like, I gotta read more of this world. No, I think if someone only encountered the show first, they'd be like, these books probably suck, and that's a shame.
For sure.
And that's the flip side. Like, oh, great, and I now have one of my favorite times being entertained by a novel, which is Merlin, the second book of the series. God, I devoured that like in a day and a half.
Yeah, everyone read the books. Don't watch this. If the numbers for this go up, they might get the wrong message. Don't
actually watch this.
Yeah, Merlin, the second book is fucking amazing, and then this is just ridiculous, and in the worst ways possible. And it's a shame. It's a shame that these are now attached to it. But I do want to get some background
before we move on,
go ahead.
From this, right? Like, I'm so glad that like I stayed kind of absent from the books, right? Like I came into this
more so from
pure. Like not even pure. I was looking at this from a different angle. I was looking at this from the Daily Wire angle. Like what kind of bullshit are they trying to peddle this time is what I'm thinking, right? And when it comes to this project in particular, I think that the idea that that this is generic would be the thing that would pop into your mind when you think to yourself, this is why it's unsuccessful, right? Because it's too generic, and I've seen the Knights of the Round Table a million times over. What makes this suck is that it's just incoherent, is that like it's really bad at exposition and showing you what matters and what doesn't, and obviously structure. Like there was a really bad job in planning. And then also a part of me thinks that like this is just straight up missing scenes. Like I don't feel as though this was supposed to be 7 episodes. I feel like this was supposed to be a lot more than that.
There's important characters that die, like you just cut to, and you're like, "Oh, that guy's dead. They have his head now." Like, what happened to him?
It's ridiculous.
There's important plot beats that either never got shot or never explained, or were cut because of some moral imperative, some moral value imperative, which I want to get into a little bit later.
Actually, I wanted to ask that at the end of what I was just about to say, was that like the big thing that I noticed, like as an outsider, about what this show is, and if I'm looking at this from the perspective of, okay, this may be what the source material is. This idea is supposed to be like the Knights of the Round Table, and the only real magic you see is not so much like dragons or whatever, but it's literally like Christian theology. Is that something that's in the books?
That's the book into a T. Like that's the whole. Like that's I want to say the first 2 episodes, which cover the entirety of the first book, and the first book could have been like 30 minutes of the first episode, because the first book, in terms of how the structure and the planning of the entire rest of the series goes, the first book is not really that important. It has some great bits in it that didn't make it into the first episode of the show.
Hilarious.
But it's not really that important. It's like the base sum of it that you get from the second book, third book, fourth book, onward is Merlin had a mother and a father. That's all that you need to know.
You could just start with Merlin, like
exactly.
Like you can do flashbacks to like show like Taliesin, but like you said, like how much of the Taliesin stuff in 2 episodes? They spent 2 episodes in this period. Like, what is actually like he had parents. what else do we learn?
Doug, are you complaining about the bull leaping? We had to see the bull leaping.
The bull leaping is hilarious.
And the thing is, right, it's like it's a bigger thing in the book. Like, it's a whole, okay, so here's the structure of the first book. Okay, the first book is that the first 60% of it, okay, you spend, on Taliesin's grandfather and how he became chief, which you see a little bit of in the first scene of the show, where he's like, finding baby Taliesin's dead body in the river. But there's a lot more. You get to see like how he gained the respect of everyone else, because he has this giant fight scene where he kills a lot of guys in the dark. And like, how do you see him in the dark, man? Like, I don't know. I just got into like berserker mode. And I killed like 12 guys with 1 spear, and it's complete pitch black. It's really cool. It's like, oh, he should be the new king. We're going to plan a coup, but now we can't because he's so cool. Because he's the prince. Like, we're going to coup him before that. So, and then there's the whole section where he meets his wife, and that's where the first moral imperative thing happens. The first change, like, we do see his wife, Taliesin's mother, or stepmother, or adopted mother, what do you want to call it, in the background, like a couple episodes. And one thing, there's a ginger side in the show. The show is fucking guilty of ginger side, because she's a redhead in the books, and she has brown hair here. Okay, during boarding is woke.
The only people in the show with red hair are like the marauding Irish. When they show up, they need to be like a savage Irishman.
Hilarious that they have like 1900s views of the Irish in the show. But that just made me cackle every time. To be fair,
that's also in the books too.
Awesome. That gives me another reason to read them.
And it's amazing, because I made a tweet about this, but it's like Lancelot in the books is Irish. So when he shows up, I was like, who was it? Disgusting Irishman. Like, watch out, Arthur. He's Irish.
it's like that one Simpsons episode, exactly. Right? Where they look out, he's Irish.
And so Guinevere's Irish too. Is like, you can't trust her, and they're so great. But yeah, no. Anyway, so first, I just want to bring up the first moral imperative thing. Okay.
Yes.
So, all right. So the story behind when we meet Elfin, Taliesin's father, he has this new baby he's taking care of. He's doing 3 men and a baby, 1 man and a baby thing, right? I need someone to help take. There's no woman here, So he goes on a little bit of a trip to a neighboring village to meet someone who he was told was a surrogate, who was a surrogate for a childless couple, right? But then miscarried, and she's been shunned because everyone found that her being a surrogate was like a disgusting thing, and so she's been shunned. She's become a pariah. He meets her, and she's like, "This is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life." And then he pretends to be like more richer than he's like prince, obviously, but he's not like a rich prince. Like, it's a small village at that point. And so he's like pretends to be like a really rich guy, like, and he does like a pretty woman kind of act in front of all the rest of the village when he's like telling her like to come with him to his village. Like, I'm a rich guy, and so I'm taking her as my wife, and like this whole thing. It's really funny and cute and sweet, and like it's basically you're all discussing or judging her for being a surrogate, even though like it was a normal arrangement. And I feel like that if anything else, I don't think that they would have liked that, given how surrogacy is apparently a really big fucking issue with conservatives right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's so much shit like this in the show where like it does like the conservative messaging in the most broad way where you least suspect it. We'll get into the specific examples, but they'll do it, and you're just like,
we can't. We're not married.
Oh my god! I love it. Oh,
that's not in the book. It's not in the book. They get married immediately. They get married immediately, so that's not even a fucking concern.
They have to get baptized and married before they can fall.
And they do it immediately. So, like, yeah, it's kind of weird that they get baptized and buried immediately, but they do it, and they don't have to worry about it. But in the show, like, no, you have to be pure. And also, an addendum to that. Okay, so, Morgan Le Fay, right? That's who she is. Blah blah blah, blah right? Taliesin and Merlin's aunt is Morgan Le Fay, right?
Mhm.
And the book, Morgan Le Fay doesn't give a fuck about Taliesin. In the show, they make it so that she's like, oh, she was spurned, but she, Taliesin couldn't love her because she wasn't virtuous enough. But like in this book, Morgan Le Fay doesn't give a fuck about Taliesin. He's like, she really just like flirts with him in a scene just to fuck around or just fuck with Kyrus's head. Like, see, I was flirting with him. Now, doesn't that ruin your relationship? But like this, like, oh, she had lots of feelings for him, which might seem like a broader or like a more depthy character change because it gives her some motivation and some pathos with Taliesin. But it just kind of feels like you have to spurn like the one that's not a proper trad wife kind of vibe. Obviously she's evil, but also it's like, oh, but she really liked him. But see, even if you like someone, you can't be with them. You have to be with the proper one who believes in God. That's what I felt like, because otherwise, there's not really any purpose to making it so that she loved him when she didn't. She's still evil, So what's the point?
Just a question about the whole series, right? And
Yeah.
like the tone of the book itself, or the series itself.
Mhm.
So like you think about why this show was made, right? Like obviously they're trying to do Game of Thrones again. And the problem with this show is that it lacks any of the bite or the edge that like made normies want to watch Game of Thrones, and that feels like a distinct decision.
Okay,
They were like,
but they copied the theme song, so is that not what people want?
Come on, we did the thing.
Tone is really great. Okay, because the tone is a really great issue here. Because, and I made like billion tweets about this when I read the first Merlin. Taliesin, we're gonna move past it. Taliesin is, as we mentioned, is not an important part of this series overall. It's not an important book. Other than like, oh, his mother becomes Lady of the Lake, but that won't become important until book 3. So it really doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't.
He's Merlin's
dad.
dad.
Exactly, he's Merlin's dad, and that's it. He sings one song. That's it.
Yeah, he's a great bard. Oh, he moved people.
Exactly. But so we're gonna move past that. I don't like the first book. I think the first book is the weakest because it's all the stuff in the first episodes is from the book. It's very faithful, other than the two little things you just mentioned, where like Morgan,
we can tell.
It's very faithful, and so like it's kind of weird. Like, again, there's a part where again, like as mentioned, 60% is Taliesin's dad, saving him, gaining the respect of his village, marrying his wife, fucking raising Taliesin up until he's like 16. And then that's where the first episode of the show really begins. And so like and that's like 60%. So the show technically begins like at the last 30% chunk of the book, which is episodes.
Crazy.
And like we could have even cut that down shorter, man. It's not that important. It really isn't.
That's the major issue with the first 2 episodes specifically, is that it really could have been like a 10-minute flashback. Like I think about the opening of the Lord of the Rings movies, right? And you get that monologue from Cate Blanchett's character. And it's like, I feel like you could have yada yada all of this and it would have been totally fine with me.
And the show kind of feels like it knows that.
Yeah, right. Like, and it feels like at the same time it's treating these characters as just like, oh, of course, this great character that as if
this is important. That's why we're taking time with this. That's what the vibe is.
It's really strange because it's for something that I think that we can all agree is a little on the low rent side, right?
Exactly.
Like this is not Lord of the Rings, and it should be embracing it in that same way, right? But
more Shannara Chronicles.
If we're not going to focus on these episodes too much, like I did want to call it just a couple of things, right?
Go.
Like, first off, Jeremy Boring was the director and writer for like these episodes specifically. And I feel like this is like one of those situations where a lot of the big problems with the whole season are presented here, but like it's coming from the top down almost. And like this movie has similar issues to like the Star Wars prequels. If you love those movies, plug your ears, right? But those movies have major exposition issues. They have major like scene to scene like flow issues. It's not even just about like, okay, are the larger themes working? Like that's a different discussion. Just from like a scene to scene momentary thing, they have tonal issues, and this show really has that as well. The only other things I wanted to call out were really like that bull jumping scene. I think that
Right.
there's a lot of funny stuff that we need to talk about there.
I
And
do
then the
wanna give
last thing I'll say
context.
before I pass it off
Yeah.
is the bard thing.
Yeah.
I think that, like, imagine you're conservative, right? Imagine you're watching this show because you don't want to watch woke Game of Thrones, right?
Mhm.
Do you think you get to that bard sequence and you're like, I'm more of a man now? Are you sitting there going like, I'm watching my awesome anti-woke like Game of Thrones thing? Like, is that really the feeling that somebody has, or would you feel embarrassed? Is my
It was
question.
more manly than the second time I do it at the end at the last episode. I'll say that.
Sure. But at the same time, they're trying to make that like a whole like, oh, history echoes kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, this is such bullshit. I don't think anyone actually cares.
It is. But I wonder. Okay, so the bull jumping thing. Okay, that's entirely from the book. But it's kind of shocking that they pick up there because it's missing the entire context. When I first saw this first episode, I'm like, if I didn't read the book, this would seem like completely fucking crazy and nonsensical. And it kind of is, given how much
it's yada yadaing Atlantis.
Exactly. Atlantis exists.
Insanity.
So like again, 60% of the book is like Taliesin, like as a kid, before his father, his mother, you know, his upbringing from like a little baby, you know, it's all of that. And then by comparison, 60% of the book is you know, Karis's half. It's like told parallel. It'd be one chapter, you know, Elfin, one chapter very young Karis, one chapter very young Taliesin, one chapter still young Karis, and then they'd be running in parallel, basically. And like it's a whole thing where Karis has a kind of like shattered view of Atlantis. Atlantis is still at its peak, right? But she's starting to feel like adrift in it. Like this isn't something that's, you know, right. It's too opulent, and there's a downcast in society that isn't fair and stuff like that. So she basically like runs away from home to join like the slave gladiators, right? And then helps them unionize, you know? And it's like this whole thing, and it's like not great. It's still really stupid subline. What the fuck does unionizing slaves have to do with anything with the rest of the fucking books that are about King
but
Arthur?
they can't have that in
yes.
this. You can't have unionizing, and you can't have slaves' rights mattering.
No, that's woke. That's woke garbage.
It is woke, again, it's like, why even keep this in at all? Because it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter.
Show off those sick effects.
Exactly.
Okay, so the effects are hilarious, right?
Yes.
Like first off, like this is how you know that they spent a shit ton of money. Is like they did a full crowded arena and like had there was a lot of careful consideration to try to make this look as convincing as possible. You can tell in the filmmaking that they were really like, how do we sell the scale of all of this? How do we, you know, actually get somebody to like really get gripped by this? And you can really feel that when we like cut right into it, and it's like the green team getting eviscerated.
Yeah.
And they also are smart in how they try to shoot further back in the audience to have like those bull jumping composite effects look better. But every time it happens, it just looks so lame. It's like, why are we watching acrobatics on the bulls? I'd rather watch them just ride them or something.
Exactly. That's the thing. In the books, it's described as like, oh, I'm gonna do like a triple axle on this bull. But in the show, it's just like they're just jumping over them, like once and then back again, and then once again. But like in the book, it's described like, I'm gonna do like a triple ollie on this bull, and it's like no one's ever done it before. But Karis can do it because she's so talented that she can just spin around on this bull. Like that sounds really cool. Probably fucking insane to do, and that's why they didn't do it. But like, just don't do it.
Then don't do that. Yeah. And
exactly.
When there's close-ups of the crowd, those are real people like reacting and cheering. But a lot of the crowd stuff from a distance, like I'm like, this is AI as fuck. Like I'm re-looking through it, and I'm like, yeah, these crowds do not look real.
Yeah, so that's a question, right? Like, is AI used in this production? Is the intro AI?
It feel all I could find is that visual elements, the AI was used for visual elements and for some of the writing, but they weren't specific of like what that
hilarious.
The source on that?
Let me find it.
Because I believe it. Because a lot of the changes here are kind of fucking insane, and the songs suck. I would imagine they would use AI for the songs.
You just feed it the Game of Thrones theme, and you're like, give me non-woke,
legally distinct.
Yeah, barely legally distinct.
And the battle,
Yeah.
and the battle, and the battle. It's the best Bard song of all time. You know, whatever fucking
God.
Merlin sings at the end of the fucking show.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, hum, hum, hum.
I,
Wait, was
I
that
hate
the theme
the
song?
fact that there's
Were
so
they
much
humming the
singing in
theme
this show.
song?
Okay, it
But
looks like the source on this is a Jeremy Boring interview of him
Okay.
talking
Hilarious.
about the use
Oh,
of AI.
Fuck this show, then, man. Fuck this show even more.
Fuck Jeremy Boring. Like,
Yeah.
what a goddamn piece of shit.
Because he is
Oh.
shitty enough to not even be embarrassed about that. Like, yeah, we had to use AI for the crowds.
God.
Yeah, look at how shitty our wilderness scenes look, even though we went to Hungary and parts of America. By the way, this never felt like Britain. They were always talking about how they were in England, and it never felt that way. It felt like it was geographically distinct to both Hungary and America. It was very strange.
Yeah. It feels so enclosed. You know, it feels like that pilot for the Wheel of Time TV show, that with Billy Zane, that original pilot. If you can find it, it feels like that. It feels like so constricted and so low rent. But it's like, why are we even doing this? Why are we even doing this? And they should have stopped him from doing this. But no one did. No one cared. This is good men. The only thing that is needed for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing.
Put that on the fucking wall. This whole conversation. That's the living ethos of it all.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. And then so.
Also, I gotta say, if your show's about Merlin, you better have really good like beard work in terms of like your makeup and stuff. The beards suck.
The beards suck, but I think in the books Merlin stays looking 35 forever. So
okay, but even the other characters, like his dad, or Talison's dad, or like all the facial hair looks shit.
Again, it looks like sub CW. It looks so low rent. It's like this is. I mean, come on. Asylum did Black Summer on like a lower fucking budget than this, man. Let's be honest.
It was bizarre because like the cinematography isn't so bad. There are certain moments that are terrible.
Yes,
but the cinematography is like at least competent. But the production design is terrible. The location scouting, as we said before, just dreadful. Like the blocking of these scenes, most of these sequences are just like crowds of people walking in fields angrily towards another crowd, and you're like, or like two people in a dimly lit room at night whispering. And I'm like, why is this the show? Why didn't they think of anything more exciting?
Yeah, because again, a lot of the books are the beginning of the King Arthur mythos. So there's not a lot to go on in the books. There's very much a lot of like smaller character work, but the show doesn't care about smaller character work. You know, it doesn't care about it. So let's talk about. Okay, let's move back to the first episodes. Everyone give a shit about the first episodes past this.
No, I think we can move on.
So I want to go back to your question about tone, because tone is the biggest thing that hobbles the rest of the season after the first episodes. Because the first episodes, the tone is very similar-ish to the novel. You know, the first novel is just like this very kind of grand romance between these two characters who you don't give a shit about.
You have no chemistry.
They have less chemistry in the fucking book. She's like 40 years older than him, but she's like an immortal, Atlantean fairy queen. And so it's like,
and the show doesn't communicate like the immortality aging thing that well. Like
No.
I like you just kind of have to pick up on it and go with it, because especially the way it's edited and cuts back and forth. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is 50 years later, but Merlin still just looks like, he's still in his 30s.
So let's get into that. Okay, but tone. One of the first things that struck me about the books is Merlin is one of the funniest books I ever fucking read in my life. Because Merlin in the book, the second book, which the rest of this season captures, episode 3 to 7, all the way to the end, is an adaptation, a billion air quotes, of the Merlin book, the second book in the series. And it's really fucking funny because Merlin narrates the entire thing. And he is like if Marty Supreme was like, Paul Atreides, like
that sounds good.
They mash the two characters together, and it's hilarious. He's like so petty and bitchy and catty and egocentric. It's so wild. I love it. Like he's like the very first scene of this show is like wilderness shots, but it's narration, and that's when I knew that this was going to be a really bad time. It's like second one. It's like this is over. This is going to be painful, okay? Because the first paragraph of the book is like, they were gonna kill Merlin. They're gonna kill Arthur. I had to do something to stop those primitive, barbaric idiots from ruining all my plans to save Britain. Those assholes. They don't you know that I'm Merlin? I'm immortal. I know everything. But then in the show, it's like they were going to kill Arthur. All these people, like, why are you talking like that? That's not the tone of the book.
He
like,
has no personality
he
at
has no
any
personality.
point.
He doesn't.
If you're comparing the book version of him to Marty Supreme,
Yes.
we've got an issue here where our protagonist is like Russell
Monotone.
Robin Hood meets Anakin Skywalker. You know,
He is so
More
monotone.
wooden than Anakin Skywalker seems like the most expressive person by
Compared to
comparison.
him.
But he's got like the same kind of like cat eyes, raven eyes, I should say, but like the dark eyes that you see at the end of Revenge of the Sith. He's got that curly hair, and then there's this whole like, you know, oh, I'm kind of edgy, right? And
Yes.
and it's I guess like we've already left the first two episodes, but like it's a problem that consists throughout the whole series, and like it's especially apparent in those early episodes, is there's a lot of time jumping. There's a lot of just like really poorly delivered, like, okay, we're in the past, or okay, we're in the present right now, kind of things. And in especially when we get that intro to Merlin, and he's got a beard and he's in the cave, and there's a title card that says 75 years later. I'm like, why should I care? And like I don't even know who this guy is.
It actually got me a little bit, because I am a sucker for a really big, like, sudden jump time, like, oh, little baby, boom, homeless man, which is kind of like what happens in the book, you know, in the book. So the first book ends with like Karis like mourning Taliesin, and it's like carrying baby Merlin. It's like, I'm gonna teach you all about your father. And then the second book opens with like, after the big rant against how stupid King Uther is like, but no one talks about me, Merlin. They just think I'm a fucking caveman shitting in the forest. Like, what is going on here? You know, it's such a distinct tonal jump. Like the first one is like the prequels, and then this one is like fucking Spaceballs. You know, it's ridiculous, and I love it. And this has nothing to it. There's no character, there's no charisma here. It's like, I get it. Merlin is meant to be like this all-seeing, like, all-powerful kind of guy who can see the future, see the past. He sees everything. He's all wise. But the thing about that is that in the books, it gives him a gigantic fucking ego. He's really smug, and that's the point. Like he keeps overestimating himself, and it gets into a lot of trouble. You know. And this one is like, no, he's all knowing, so we have to make sure he's like noble and wise. So like, why are we doing this, man? And I know why. It's because of modernity. It's a big buzzword in alternative and right-wing conservative fandoms. Modernity. People like to say like, modernity is ruining fiction. You know, we're too concerned about modernization. We have to go back to classical, traditional storytelling. You know, everyone likes to say that Game of Thrones is too modernized. It cares too much about like nuances and grayness and you know, not black and white. You go back to strict black and white, good and evil. So Merlin has to be a good guy. He has to be noble. He has to be right all the time. He has to be like kind and merciful and just, and like, and he is, but he's not like a good guy that much either.
But being detached like this in the way that it's played makes him read as more sociopathic than just like, if he had an ego, that's at least human. You know,
exactly.
Like that's a human
It's
quality.
like Alien.
Yeah, he kind of drifts through the story too. Like he doesn't really have much of an active role in what happens around him until the final episodes.
I was gonna say towards the end, like really the last 2 episodes.
I mean that's okay. That's also, I would say, a part of the book as well. But that's what makes it work. That's what's the point, or that's what's helped.
Well, he's a Sassmeister,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
And he was like,
He's
you know, like
he's
if
in the
it was
background.
Peacemeister, yeah, then he would be relegated there.
Exactly. So that's
well, if you have interesting things going on around a more passive character, that helps. But this is not giving you anything in either direction. Like that, he's passive and a wet blanket, and then also everyone around him fucking sucks.
Yeah. Okay. So let's. But that's tone. Right? That's tone. Because there's no more vibe to it. It's all about now, about like what strictly fights and what might makes right, and And like, oh, we gotta head into battle because we have to stake our claim to this place and our people. And like, okay, I mean, yeah, but like,
Mhm.
it's not interesting. Like, why do you care? Why are we supposed to care if all the people are cardboard
Yes.
cutouts? 80% of them who can't fucking act.
The thing that's like, I wanted to go back to what you were saying about modernity, right? That what these conservative
Yes.
people are saying that they want to do, right? Like when you think about what they're saying, right? They're talking, like you even said this yourself, Ellis. They're just fighting for like less complicated storytelling. They're just fighting for something that like literally is, not even like to the cheap seats. It's just like fundamentals of like what early films were, to the point where like it's so rudimentary where like modern audiences would not enjoy it, right? And we're seeing an example of that because this is essentially trying to like follow that logic to its like logical conclusion, and what we get is something that only exists out of the like desire for it to exist in a way that has no artistic expression goal and purpose, but rather to meet some kind of quota. And the result leaves no passion, it leaves no consideration. Instead, it's so empty and flaccid. And this whole what they're actually interested in telling us as on a story level, you can feel the story, like the filmmakers actually like come to life when the action sequences happen. Like you can tell they're like, oh cool, we can do an action sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it comes to any of the sequences of dialogue, there is no consideration or approximation of what levels the dial should be turned to. So you never really know what scene is supposed to be the most important and what's supposed to be the least important. It's very inept filmmaking.
Yes, that's great. It's structure. Let's want the structure because it's for some reason the first episodes they're told straight on through chronologically. We meet them. They fall in love. Taliesin dies. It's one continually linear story. For some reason, see episode 2, episode 3 onward, it jumps across 3 different time zones consistently.
Insanity.
Do they
And
think they're doing like a Dr. Manhattan, like not how he experiences all time at
no, I
once?
think they're
Like
doing.
they're like, oh well, actually Merlin inside Merlin's head, like this is all happening at the same time.
I don't think so. I mean, I think maybe there's something in the last episode that kind of hints that might be happening, but that doesn't make any sense. And it and it's mostly, I think, because they wanted to seem grand, poetic, and most importantly, they want to front load the shit out of this part with fight scenes. It's because the book is not very fight scene heavy. I mean, there's like 3 big ones. The show adds like 2 extra other ones, okay, to space it out because it's all about build up. It's like, again, we see all of Merlin's life up until he meets baby King Arthur, right? He's a little baby himself. He's a young kid. He's a teenager. He's a young adult who is fighting battles and marrying and falling in love and all that shit. And he's an old man who still looks immortal. Okay. And it's a long thing. And it's like they space out smaller battles there and one big battle there and here and there. But it's not a lot. And so I'm 90% sure the big motivation was, let's do this thing so we can get all the big battles at the very front. And the issue with that, and it's very apparent from the get-go, is that if you front load all the big battles in the beginning, you're kind of left with nothing to fucking do for like 4 episodes.
You just kind of
For sure.
got to meander around. And about the battles themselves, we talked about how jarring this show is in terms of like the time jumps itself, but in terms of place, like tracking, like is some costuming to kind of help you, and they do give you title cards of like when you're cutting to, but the sense of place and like who I'm supposed to be watching fight, like which armies is they'll tell you, but even then it's like hard to track.
It's also like a major issue in how these fights are framed to you, right? Like we cut in on fights and then there are like characters who are like discussing the fight from afar, like they're witnessing it rather than being active participants in it. And then there are fights that happen off camera as well that are like, it's very jarring to hear that those things happen. And you're like, why didn't we see that? And the main issue with the fights is that like it goes back to location. None of these like bases or camps or like collections of serfs, none of them feel distinct from one another.
Yes.
Like while their clothing may, you know, be different shades or what have you, I don't feel like there's ever like a grand castle. You know, with Lord of the Rings, you know, there was color coding, there was like, you know, high society versus low society. All of them look the exact same, and it feels like it's because they're trying to do some level of realism here, as if like there's like a basis in reality almost. But
Realism
it
is
has
when
something
dirt, when it looks like
right.
they live in dirt.
When it looks like it's America, really, and it's like every area just looks like it's in the low part of a giant field, and there's a mountain behind them, like just one mountain. Every exterior scene looks exactly like that, and it becomes very strange to like try to grasp the geography of all of this as it unfolds.
I know, and also it's a whole thing about stakes too. And I'll say this is consistently an issue with the entire series of books, um, where a lot of the fights will be for very similar reasons. Like I want to stake my claim to this piece of land, and then Uther or Aurelius or what have you be like, no, that's my stake of clan, my stake, and you're a dirty, Scottish or Irish person, and I need this land myself because I'm a king. And then like a chapter or two of build up, maybe 3 chapters, and then they fight, and it's like rinse and repeat every time. It's like happens so many times, and it's honestly one of the most repetitive parts of the book. And so again, here's issue number 2. When you front load all of them at the very beginning, it kind of becomes really hard to understand what the fuck is going on because all the fights are insanely similar and for very similar reasons. I started to forget what the story was, and I had read the fucking book.
Yeah,
Insanity.
same.
And again, like I'm thinking about like episode 6. There's a part where like they're all around in a meeting with all the generals and Uther and Aurelius and all that, and they're talking about the fire and the battle and more. I'm like, is this happening now? Like, is that when are we? It's been like I feel
There
like
should be a
20.
time and date stamp on screen at all time, even though they do give you like
Yeah.
a plate when they cut to a new plate. Like just keep that on the screen the whole scene, so I can, and also have labels above the factions so I can like keep track.
I feel like Twin Peaks season 3, the very ending, or like Cooper's like, what year is it? Like, what year is it really? Because you have like several mortal characters, okay, and you get more and more characters later on, and they always look the same. So it's a mess. And I don't know. And again, I know why they did it. I know why. It's very obvious. But like it, I guess it goes to show. We mentioned the show obviously has a large budget, a lot of production value that isn't really that great, but still a lot put toward it, and it can't make up for shoddy storytelling, for incompetency
100%.
at storytelling, and it's incompetent. It's an incompetent show, and there's so many things about a non-chronological structure about this as well, because it will act like something that was important, and it'll tell us what happened more or less, but then it will still take like 2 or 3 episodes until we see the time period that happened, and I'm like, well, we already knew what happened. You could have already told us in the future. We don't need to see it anymore now, and it's way too late. You should have told us back then. When the same time you
Yeah.
tell us is when we should get that fucking flashback.
Well, like the key issue is that like this show should have been told chronologically, right? Like it does this non-chronological thing, but it really should have just given all this stuff more straightforwardly. Would that have made this a more boring show? I don't know if it would have. I feel like it would have been about as boring as it already was. But the one thing I wanted to actually throw out there, right? Because obviously we've talked about the similarities between the books and whatnot, right? But like let's bury into like Merlin themselves, right? This character Merlin, right? In popular culture, specifically in movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that most people's conception of Merlin or like idea of Merlin is almost like more of like a side character who's almost kind of goofy, right?
Yes.
Or like sentimental,
Yes.
right? And when you're telling me about this idea of Merlin from the book, that's kind of like wise guy, snappy, kind of rash, and obviously he's going to grow into a version of Merlin that be more.
But the third book, by the third book, when we get like actual King Arthur shit, Arthur's
right.
he's like a wise. He's like a more mellowed out because he spent like 30 years raising Arthur, and Arthur's like, old man, I love you. He's like, I love you too, King Arthur. I'll kill anyone who messes with with you. I'll kill myself after I kill them. I love you too much. And like, it's great. It's great shit. I love it.
And the problem with this show is that this Merlin is so static and undergoes literally zero changes even after like their partner dies, right? Like there's nothing really phases this Merlin, and there's nothing really about this Merlin that makes me go like, ah, yes, the great Merlins.
He gets angry in one scene. They kind of do the version of Anakin slaughtering the Sand People.
Oh yeah.
But it happens so late because he keeps having visions of this woman. So you're like, so she's important, right? But then we don't meet her until like the second to last. Meet her until the second to last episode.
And at that point, we've been told what happened because we meet her dad before the episode begins. And like, okay, we know it. So
yeah, like, don't you want that to be a shocking gut punch? Like, oh my god, the love of his life.
And it's like it's so watered down, and again, it's they don't include the snappy, bitchy, petty shit because he's like when he meets her, he's not like a good. He's still a piece of shit, you know. He's still a piece of shit when he meets her, and it makes it's very meet cute, late '90s rom com with Kate Hudson, you know. It's that kind of vibe, and it's fun. And this has none of it.
Like, because most of the time we're seeing her, it's not her. It's because like it's revealed later that that's Morgan like appearing as her to fuck with Merlin, but we haven't met her. So the fucking with like like that this is so backwards because I'm like, we should understand how fucked up and twisted this is that she's showing his dead lover to him in visions and like to manipulate him. But I'm like, I don't know who this woman is.
And the manipulation doesn't work because we're seeing the future too, so there's no tension.
The way this comes across is like you're sitting at a table and like you're being interrogated, and the person interrogating you just like slides a picture over to you, and it's like a headshot of Brett Cooper, and they're just going, "What do you think about this?" You know, like
we'll check back in. They just keep sliding it over to you. You're like just in the middle of something. Like, what do you think of that? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like that's how it comes across in the show. If you have no idea of what this is supposed to mean,
he doesn't emote to it, and like, but the thing is, he never emotes to anything, even before he meets her and she dies chronologically. He even as a little baby kid, and we've seen him as like a 12-year-old. He doesn't emote to anything. He's a blank slate, you know, and it's annoying. It's really annoying.
Mm-hmm. And like one thing we should say about the casting is like these are like semi-professional to professional actors, right? Mm-hmm. Like no one recognizable, but like it's clearly people who have taken acting lessons, right? Mm-hmm. But like I do feel as though there's a major issue with casting on the show where like several people kind of look the same. Like you kind of there's not enough distinct costuming as well, which is a big key issue with this. But it's like there are several, like in those first few episodes, not to go back to that, but it's like there's that love triangle, and it's between two people who are blonde women with like brown like eyebrows, and you're like, really, you couldn't like do
like Harris's facial structure is like a little longer. Like that's how I could tell them apart. I'm like, I guess she has a longer face.
No. Here's how you tell them apart. Okay. Morgan Le Fay, right? She wears deeper, low-cut dresses to show that she's slutty and she's not with Jesus. She's not,
and she'll usually have like lamb's blood on her because she just tried doing like a ritual.
But it's mostly the boob thing. They really like to show like, oh look, she dresses like a tawdry harlot,
fucking slut.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, like Kairos will have like this kind of like this little piece of fabric that closes up a little bit of it. That's the tell. And again, so it's like she didn't give a shit about Taliesin in the books. So it's like, oh, they added in here so they can see like they get like this vitriolic or like what's it called by a proxy revenge on like those really hot chicks. You don't need them. Because they're whores.
Yeah, there is that undercurrent for sure, as we already talked about, like the whole like let's wait for marriage thing, right? Yeah. And there's more of that even throughout the show. But like we already invoked her. I think we should just talk about her. But like the only person who has any kind of like name recognition beyond this who is in the show is a conservative pundit who no longer works for the Daily Wire, Brett Cooper, right? Somebody who was originally announced to star in the non-woke Snow White movie, but that has now been canceled because she has left the Daily Wire.
And again, it
But
was
yeah,
too woke.
Brett
I
Cooper.
wrote the script, and they didn't like it.
And also, like, in case people don't know who Brett Cooper is and need a kind of like a visualization, she is the female Ben Shapiro. She just looks like Ben Shapiro, not more so than her own sister, his own sister.
The Earth 6 Ben Shapiro, yeah.
It's very strange stuff, and she's supposed to be like the most meaningful romantic character on the show, and she
does nothing.
She does nothing, but then she can't act, and she's doing a British accent, and she sucks at it.
Yeah, it's so great watching behind the scenes videos where like the guy playing her dad is like, I respect Brett Cooper so much because she now has to do like a British accent, but like a Northern British accent. Like that's a tall order. But like yeah, it was a tall order. She couldn't meet it.
The type of region of British that she's doing fluctuates within a scene. Like if you listen to accents, so it's not consistent at all. And like if you know anything about British accents, she is like going all over the map in terms of regions.
Yeah, no. Again, I'll say one thing. It's not like she's like a Ganietta is a great character in the book either. She's really there, I would say, as a plot device to give Merlin some character development, because Merlin changes as a character. He does. He's not a static character. He develops. Okay. He becomes a real boy at the end of the book. Okay. But Ganietta is very much more of like of a device for that. She's not really given much. She's cute with Merlin. They have cute moments of the part where like he sees her like hugging a guy. He's like, I'm gonna kill that guy with my magical powers if I get the chance. And it turns out it's the brother. Like, thank God it's the brother. It's like it's great. But she's not. I think again, everything that happens with her happens in the book, and it's not that much different. It's a tone issue, really. The tone.
It's a tone and structure thing. But speaking of which, should we talk about the magic and depiction of it?
Yes,
and how it sucks.
It sucks. The thing, it sucks so much, but
it doesn't match because we kept saying like, yeah, they're just like making these environments and everything so visually bland because they're like that's realism. So when actual magic happens, it's not even that the magic is like way more colorful or distinct in that contrast. It's that the magic also looks boring.
It does. Okay. My favorite thing, I'll bring it up right now. My favorite instance of this is that there's a part in the book where Merlin is a little boy. He's about to get sacrificed by like the hill people, like the nomad tribe of garbage monsters that we see in the show, and like the fourth episode, I think, fourth or fifth. And like the part where like basically she's about to get stabbed with a ritual dagger, and the moment like it touches his skin, the dagger shatters, but it shatters in such a way that he closes his eyes and he doesn't even see the impact of it shattering at all. But he opens eyes, and everyone starts saying they saw something come down from the sky and destroy it, and like, he can't verify it. He's like, well, I don't know, but I guess it's lucky, He's like maybe I'm just. He even says something along the lines of, I have no idea something came out from heaven, or maybe I'm just too powerful. My skin is just impenetrable and shattered itself. That might not be how it happened, but it's good enough. Well, it's good enough excuse for me, And so it's great. But here we see it in the show. We see it point blank. Like you had a fucking really great, funny character device to not show it.
And well, he prays for it too, right? Like he's praying, and that's why he's saved.
But you still show it, and like you didn't have to show it. This could be an easy way to not expend more budget, but they do it, and it's really dumb and cheap looking.
Yeah.
To kind of echo something that Doug was just saying before, and just we were ending off there with saying, Elvis, like the effects are so cheap and weightless, and they're done the same way every time. Like every single sequence is just like something is happening. Like tensions are rising, like people are upset with one another, and then like a light comes and somebody screams. Like there's always a guy screaming every time magic's happening there, and they never change up the formula. It's always the same kind of environment every time.
Because if they get too magic-y with it, then for like their Christian audience that they're going towards, like that might be a little too like I know people who are hardcore Christians are like Harry Potter or stuff like that. They won't
That's
even
too much for them.
They won't even fuck with Wicked because there's a witch, you know. So it's
I think so too.
yeah, yeah. So they need to make it, because like the imagery that's acceptable with Christianity, like okay, a light, Jesus is a light, and then maybe lightning, God's showing up in lightning is a little acceptable. But if you like go outside of that, then you're getting like kind of witchy.
Yeah, and again, that's something that is brought up a lot in the book too, because in the book, all other forms of influence exist in the book. Other forms of influence in the book, but it's very much like now it's time for God to take its place in British society, and this is why Knights Round Table and the Holy Grail, all of that. It's a shift toward the Christian religion, right, over the pagan religion. So that's a big cornerstone. So Merlin, he does a lot of magic stuff, but then everyone's like, "Aren't you doing magic?" And he's like, "No, these are miracles that God is letting me do. I'm talking to a burning bush right now. It's a miracle. It's not magic. I made that guy's head explode. It's a miracle. It's not magic." And like that's a running thing in the book. And like, okay, well, I guess, I guess, who am I to judge?
Yeah, that would be funny character building stuff, but then also that's just a cool concept of like having warring factions of like you're like no, all of this is real. It'd be like kind of like American Gods of like there's like a supremacy of like who is the actual like reigning dominant force of like of belief, and that makes their magic like more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
The show does a really bad job as well, like showing which factions believe and don't, right?
Yeah.
I feel like every time people are talking, I'm just going like, have I met this person before? Like, is this somebody who and I wasn't even like not watching the screen when I was watching this. Like I was like trying to pay attention, and there would be moments where I'm just like, oh yeah, that's that guy. He's been on the show like in 3 other episodes, but like I still don't really know what they're up to. Like the way that this exposition is delivered is just so amateurish that it becomes very hard to understand where everybody stands in this show. And it's like, I'm not saying that because I was like dumb, I'm saying that because like the people who made this are inept at filmmaking.
Look, again, it's hard to get a grip on anyone because it keeps swapping around. Like we don't even meet Merlin's Merlin's father-in-law chronologically until like 2 episodes after we've met him in the present future. And like that's so fucking insane to me, because then when we meet him, like, oh, he loves him, and right, but we already saw him patch up, so there's no issue, there's no tension between but they're now in the present, they're going to be like at each other's necks. But we already saw them patch up. They already were at each other's necks, and then they patched up, and now we're meeting them chronologically in this 12-episode flashback. There's no narrative cohesion.
Makes no sense.
They're just undercutting themselves at every turn.
And that's the entire way that the flashbacks and the non-chronological stuff happens too. There's never a part where it's like, oh wow, this is like, it's like Cloud Atlas. Everything is like bleeding into each other. It's like poetry. There's never a moment that's like that. It's always, we've seen this already. We've seen the payoff to this already.
I think it reeks of budgetary constraints. Even though they spent so much on this, I feel like they did a really poor job allocating funds. Like it just feels like whatever they were supposed to get.
They blew it all on scale of like those battles, and then they're like, shit, we have to like connect these things and like make it a coherent story.
Like
that makes a lot of sense.
I would agree with that, because episodes just end. Like
that's true. Like
not even cliffhangers. Like it's just like, oh, okay, mid sentence. All right, I guess we'll
pick up next time on this one. But that's I think that's pretty much it. Like we need each of these episodes to be a certain runtime. We hit that mark, cut. We hit that mark, that's episode 2. We hit that mark, episode 3. Like they were just that's how it's been structured. That's why we ended up with 7, a 7-part miniseries. I don't believe you for 1 second.
And also we have to talk about the episode length, because like that's truly oppressive, right? Like an hour and 10-minute lengths on some of these episodes. What were they thinking? Right?
You
should have been like, and we get like 20 minutes worth of story or less.
It's so stupid.
And that's what's shocking to me, because you're mentioning this. I want to bring up This doesn't even fucking adapt all of the second book. It skips like
Amazing.
20% of it. An important 20%.
Yeah, but the sword, it's in that stone, you know?
The first,
Problem solved.
the first sentence of this season is they were going to kill Arthur.
We don't circle back to that, no.
At all. We don't circle back to that.
To be
And also,
continued.
like, also just like if we're talking about how like things kind of feel like redundant and all, like think about that intro that we get every episode. Every episode intro ends with the sword being in the stone, right? Like we know that that's where this is going. We
It's
know
coming.
that it's a foregone
Like it wants to
conclusion,
remind
right?
you of it. Like trust us.
Exactly. In every episode.
Oh, that
and it's like,
story.
oh,
That's what
where
we're
it's going,
watching.
right? And it's like, why are you both like self-conscious of being a straight adaptation of like Merlin's life, and while also trying to be like, oh, this is like the true way of doing this. There was like several points when I was watching this, I wrote this in my notes. I was like, this feels not like Christian media, this feels like Mormon media. This feels like American centric version of doing something like this, and I feel like there is that distinction present in the tone of all this.
And that's honestly a real big shame, because like part of what Lawhead was trying to do, and I wouldn't say it's entirely effective, was kind of like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen kind of mashing of various elements of Merlin. Like we have traditional Merlin, then we have Merlin Wild, which is like a kind of nomadic Merlin, and there was like this friar who was named Merlin once, and he added him for some of the Christian elements and all this kind of shit. Like we're gonna muddle them together, but like in this one, it's so stripped down that that doesn't even matter. Like we don't like. And one part of what makes the book really entertaining to me is that it's able to do all this while still being really recognizably Arthurian. The first book could you, if it wasn't for like we shall name the baby Merlin, right? That's not even, you couldn't even count that as a King Arthur book or an Arthurian book, because it's so removed from anything else, even like recognizably. But the second book is like, we know from the get-go we're heading to King Arthur. Is Merlin's life, and he gets staff. He gets trained in magic. He gets the sword. It becomes a sword into stone. He meets Arthur's uncle and father. He meets Arthur's mother. He meets Arthur's grandfather. They all have adventures. They all go to war together. They all fall in love. Everyone bangs. Everyone tries to kill each other. Whatever. And it's like very, very strict. That's an Arthurian book. You can toss that second book to anybody, and they would get it instantly, and they wouldn't be like led astray. And this one is like, again, you front load all of these battles, and then suddenly like, okay, I know that's King Arthur's uncle and father, but what is the purpose here? And it's like it loses that intent, it loses that drive, and that very clear end goal, because it's just like there's no more battles to go around. Let's just talk about battle strategy that the writers don't even understand.
Oh my god. Yeah, they don't understand, because they don't understand the geography of what they're talking about. They don't understand, like everything is just kind of talked about in broad strokes, where it's like oh, these are the factions they're after now. Like, okay, sure, right? Like there's no real cohesion that makes it feel like what I've been watching has been something.
There's no tangible strategy either. It's just always you run to me, I run to you. And there's a part,
or sometimes they're behind them and then they turn around and then they run at each other.
I don't even remember if this was in the show, but in the book, there's a part where like Uther takes like a band of guys and disappears for 3 days, because his plan is to take the really long way around the area, to get so far behind the enemy guys that he can just get right behind them without them ever seeing him. So he's going the long way around. He's gone for like 3 days, and the battle already started, and everyone's about to die. And like, what the fuck is he? Like, he took it so long way. He came to battle late, but he's able to do it. Was that in the show? Because I can't remember.
I don't think so. But
like,
don't quote me on that.
Womp.
And so, like, again, that's one of the few things. But like, okay, it's very minimal, but it kind of works in that way. And the show can't even do that. It's less like, why was Aurelius like off in the woods to get ambushed? Well, what was going on during like the siege of Vortigern's castle fortress. Like, where is it's so weightless? It's so meaningless. It's just, oh, we're gonna mash the figures together, and then, oh, he won. That's it. That's the extent of the thought behind the fight scenes.
That's what I'm saying. Like they just had the battles, and then they needed to be like, oh fuck, we need to like actually connect these, but they can't. They can't even on a scene to scene basis tell a coherent story like within a scene.
Yeah, because it's more like vignettes. It's again, it's and the thing is, right, it's almost episodic. You know, this the book is almost episodic. It's always like a silly misadventure that Merlin went on. You know, like, oh, I fell down a hole and I got stuck there because I was kidnapped by mole people for like 6 years of my life. Or like, oh, I went on an adventure to tell this old man that he was going to die soon, and he almost had me hanged. But don't worry, you know, these other two guys chopped his head off, so I got off scot-free. It's like Pinocchio a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
and all the stories would have given him texture, would have given Merlin character and luster, but instead, like, they're so obsessed with making him seem like a nobleman, which, like, if we talk about like how Merlin's been typically portrayed in the past, like that makes no sense even to the perception of people who understand it. Exactly. He's a whimsical kind of fun presence. So like, why is this not represented?
Or even if you're just using the parlance of like modern fantasy, like you make him like a Gandalf type, even if you're not going with the like the classic beardy look, but like Gandalf has a personality.
Gandalf is also like a very sly kind of guy, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone loves like the wrinkles, the twinkles in Gandalf's eyes, you know? Everyone loves that shit. And this has none of that.
Yeah.
Like who would love Merlin? Who could love like, I am Merlin?
Brett Cooper.
I was about to say there's one person who did. It didn't end well for her, but
yeah, that was her mistake, you know.
Bad taste,
she was trying real hard for that reel, you know. She was like, "Oh, this will get me in, I don't know, a Netflix production."
You know, and it's a shame. It's a shame. And the thing about this show is that there's not much to talk about.
No, there isn't. Like we're kind of rounding out like almost everything there is to say about this show. Like there, even in the climax, right? Like there's nothing really that happens that's surprising. It's just kind of like a foregone conclusion of like, okay, the bad guys are sieging and Merlin does something to kind of trick them, and then it just like ends. And there's nothing really,
and that's a shocking
thing. There's no weight.
Mm-hmm. And that's a shocking thing about why those last 20% of the book is so important. The last 20% of the book happens after the final battle. Everything's been done. Oh, you know, they've beaten all the bad guys. Oh, they've crowned Aurelius High King, and Merlin's like, well, let's just sit back and toast to a job well done. My job. Oh, I saved England. And then they meet. What's his name? Gorlas for the first time. We see him in the show, and again, I knew this is gonna be a bad idea. He's introduced in the show like in episode 3 already. We see him like really early on, but this is the first time we actually meet him for real. Like, I'm so glad to be part of that battle of you guys, King Aurelius. Why don't you meet my daughter, Igraine, right? And then Merlin's like, wait, why are both of these guys looking at Igraine like that? And he's like, and then he gets like a vision, like, fuck, they're going to fucking kill each other. And it's like the last 20 minutes is like Merlin trying to stop Aurelius and Uther from like killing each other over this chick. Right. And it's like, it's insane. And it's like, okay, like the real danger wasn't, and like he even says, like, I did all of this stuff and they're going to ruin it themselves. And I can't, and he is so pissed in his narration. Like, I did all of this and it couldn't even last one day. And it's amazing. And they just
like that kind of indignation would actually be compelling, like as a character trait of like, yeah,
they skip it.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen.
Instead, they make him more like his father with the whole bard thing, right? Where it's like, well, okay, so now you're just trying to justify why those first episodes were too long, and instead it makes it feel like, okay, now we're in a real snooze fest where it's all about the power of music. It's like, even the people who like are conservatives who watch Game of Thrones, they do that because it's fucking rad in the sense that there's a lot of fucking bloody sword fights. When the sword fights are here and it's just kind of like nameless people just kind of flinging metal at each other, no one cares. Like there's no weight here.
Yeah, but a kid gets arrow is fucking hardcore or something.
This is not your grandmother's.
I do want to talk about the Bard stuff.
Braveheart.
It's great. I do want to talk about the Bard stuff because in the book, we have two big Bard scenes. Well, we have one in the Taliesin book, where it's like like the way the Bard stuff is written in the books is just like it's like those chapters in Don Quixote where we get like someone like or 1,001 tales, right? We're just gonna take a detour into like a chapter that's just written like a regular short story. Like the tales of the bard, not even attempted to be written like songs. Like it becomes like no, we were told to write a bunch, but like, we were like, oh, and this is the tale of the guy who saw a ghost and married her, and it's like for 30 pages, a really long-winded story about something like that. And in the show, they try to make it the actual songs, and the songs are fucking nonsensical. And like, I would have rather just heard these songs that like, oh, this guy who bet the devil that he wouldn't sleep with his wife.
It just makes it more absurd that it has such profound impact on the people who hear it. Because I'm like, this is what you're like is moving you to tears. Like
we mentioned Zack Snyder before I started recording, and then when watching these episodes, because in the book, when the last Bard song, which is like this big rallying call that Merlin gives to the troops, right, about like of the kingdom of summer, right? When in the book is like on his song describes to them the glory of the kingdom, Camelot. Glory of Camelot and what Camelot could be like, and we're told what the song is about. We're not actually told like what he's actually saying. We're told what the song is about. In the show, the song is a pointless 2-sentence song that repeats, and then he stops singing and he just tells them what Camelot's going to be like, and then that's it. Like that's not that was in the book, and so I thought like I immediately was reminded of Sucker Punch, and I feel like this should have just gone the Sucker Punch route. Like he starts singing, and then we get like the fantasy world baby doll imagination spot.
Hell yeah!
Like, I think that wouldn't work better because otherwise, don't try to pretend that you can write these songs that you clearly can't.
Yeah,
I agree. This should have been more like Sucker Punch.
Mm-hmm.
And also like the auto tune that they use from the actors, right? Like none of it sounds like a normal human singing. So it's like, and these sequences last for like minutes.
Divine.
You guys ever watch like the second season of Euphoria?
Yeah.
You remember like Dominic Fike doing that song in like the
like in the finale, and it lasts like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's what every Bard sequence in the show feels like.
Yeah, and again, you've cut out so much already. I feel like it wouldn't matter that much if you could just kind of cut away. And then the first Bard song kind of gets the idea because like there's a part where he starts singing and then he and Karis are looking at each other and the song kind of muffles out a little bit and it focuses on their reactions together. Like, okay, we're kind of stepping outside the song at this point, you know? And like I'm not sure why it didn't continue with that because it becomes really embarrassing when it's like, oh, we hear this song and it's so lame, but then it saves the day. It stirred their hearts so much, and it's like, and the fight, and the fight, and the fight. Like, what the fuck?
It's trying to be like some kind of like rebel rousing. Oh, don't you have goosebumps kind of thing? Where it's trying to sell you on like the emotional investment that you have with the series by that point. And in a normal good story, at least to some degree, you would have some kind of emotional detachment here. But like, as we've said, like our experience watching this show has mainly been one of like being confounded, being like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening? So it's really hard for us to have any kind of like emotional attachment to anything that's actually unfolded because it doesn't feel like it's actually earned any of it. So ultimately, what we're left with, especially with these singing sequence, is something that's really awkward. It's something that's like we're kind of embarrassed to see these people doing these things. And we're just kind of like, all right, wrap it up.
It hasn't earned it, and it just makes it feel like these characters are just really easily swayed and dumb. Like we've sped so much around, in terms of time period, kept cutting back and forth. There's nothing to anchor you to these characters. Everyone feels so wishy-washy because you're always seeing them at a different point in their life. You can't grab a hold of them. I don't know who these characters are. You know,
and I don't know who they are to each other. I need to constantly, and the show I feel like knows that because it needs to keep reminding you, like, oh yeah, these guys are brothers. Right, that's his mom. I mean, I remember that his mom is Sheriff because they spent fucking 2 episodes on it, but like other than that, like the main relationships get really fuzzy.
I think it's really interesting that through this whole discussion, like we've only said like 3 or 4 of the names of the people in the show. Everybody else, like there is an ensemble on the show, and yet like they all blend together, and like it's really hard to like differentiate and parse like who's on what allegiance and what. And it's not because, like, again, it's not because I'm a dumb movie watcher. It's because like it's really a tough time to make sense of all of this because of the filmmaking behind it.
All the factions blur together, like we keep saying. Like any of the like non-civilized, like any of the factions that like don't have like a castle, basically, like they all seem like the same thing. So I'm like, I don't like, oh, these are distinct. The hill people, these are different from these other like savages that we've seen. Then okay,
yeah, the Saxons are different from the Irish, who are different from the Scots, who are different from the Picty, I think.
they don't depict that well at all. It kind of seems like they're all just kind of like
They're also
generic
Viking
barbarians. Yeah, they seem like Viking barbarians.
But they're Irish.
Irish.
You can tell by the red hair.
And the thing is, right?
Those motherfuckers.
It's not even that. I'll say it's not even that. The Viking stuff is really also a big part of the book too, because Lancelot, as I mentioned, is Irish. He has a berserker mode. That's his main gimmick in the books. So there's a funny part, which we'll get in, which we would have gotten, which we would not have gotten because it'd be too stupid to include it. In the non-existent, never going to happen second season, right? Where Lancelot runs off into the middle of like a cave where they know a trap is being laid, and like, what the fuck, that guy's gonna get himself killed. So they go the long way around the rest of the Knights Round Table, and then they go back to the cave and they see like just like a torrent of blood spattered every surface, and like, what the fuck happened here? And they see Lancelot on the ground covered in, like, is he dead? And no, he's not. He's like, he's just covered in blood. He's not even his. And it's like, okay, like I guess he killed all these guys. I love those books, man. They're great.
Yeah.
And it, like, you're this, I guess, that's what they say was true about the Irish. They're fucking insane.
I've looked at some of the cope online because there is like a quote unquote fandom. I mean, I feel like it's mainly just like Daily Wire people. I mean, so some of them seem like they did read the books, and then I don't know, they're just so desperate for something that they've clung to it. But the cope is that, like, yeah, the show was a failure, but maybe the Daily Wire is going to shop it around, and like, Netflix or someone might buy it, or like no one would. Netflix wastes a lot of money on a lot of bullshit, but even they would be like, "This is stinky."
Like,
no, thank you.
I've seen there's one guy who done a lot of videos on the books. He hasn't talked about this show once. He talked about it like before the show premiered, saying like, I hopefully this gets people into the books, and they started reprinting the books based with show covers, which is cool. I'm excited to see what the show is like. He has not posted once about the show since it premiered.
That's really funny.
Very telling.
Well, like this became a culture war thing in the lowest sense of the term, because, like, okay, so if we're talking about the timeline of the Daily Wire, right? Like, Ben Shapiro pops off, what, 2015, 2016, right? Like around the same time that like Jordan Peterson's doing his thing, right? And the event, obviously Jordan Peterson,
they're both in the logo. They're in the
exactly. Right? Like they're kind of like the elder statesmen of like what Trumpism started with, right? And then when it comes to like the whole formation of Daily Wire as we recognize it now, it's like closer to like 2018, 2019, and all of this stuff, like as it stands now, like what, like 8 years later, Ben Shapiro is no longer top shit, right? Like Ben Shapiro barely gets the same kinds of views that he used to get. Daily Wire had to lay off a bunch of people, and including Jeremy Boring, the person who made this show. As you said earlier, Elvis, like there's no way there's going to be a second season of this because this was a massive financial failure. They shouldn't have done this. It was a mistake to even do this, let alone see how it paid out. And now they need to scale everything down to a large degree, and especially a lot of when it comes to like people who are famous in conservative spheres now, it's like just like more blatantly racist people,
like
like
Nick
people like Ben
Fuentes.
Shapiro, like Nick Fuentes and stuff like that, right? Like people like that, you know, they don't even do the whole dog whistle shit. They're just like, here's
I'm
my
a
shitty
Nazi.
opinion. Yeah, and like they get way more views, and people like Ben Shapiro suffer for it because he's selling the diet version of it, right? And Jeremy Boring, you know, was trying to make this not so he could push more conservative media, but just because he is a conservative in media and was trying to show that he still had like talent and commercial viability. There's another figure we haven't discussed about here, and somebody who's integral to this whole Daily Wire business, Dallas Sonye. Do you guys know who this guy is?
No. Just tell us.
So Dallas Sonye is the producer of all of the early S. Craig Zoller films. Not even early S. Craig Zoller films. He's produced all of S. Craig Zoller's films, as well as Standoff at Sparrow Creek. Like he is somebody who is like he is deeply entrenched within like conservative media as like somebody who is like, I'm making conservative things. And when Daily Wire started doing these shows and stuff, he has produced all of them. Like he produced all of the Daily Wire movies, all of that, right? He is now moving away from the Daily Wire as well, right? And he is going back to like what he was doing before. He just adapted another S. Craig Zoller script, even if it was uncredited. The key is that like these people are trying to achieve relevance and blood suck off each other, and it didn't work. And the larger context, I know I've been rambling, but I need to finish off with this. The bigger context that exists behind all of this is that conservative media is about to take over in a big time way because of what happened with Paramount taking over WB, and how they're obviously going to move in a more conservative direction. So it's like the conservatives got what they wanted, but as you can tell, like none of the conservatives who are on this lower level got the financial kickback that they were expecting to. It was still corporate consolidation at the end of the day. It was about institutional power, and none of these mini celebrities that they created for themselves were ever going to succeed, because ultimately they are going to be exploited in the exact same ways as the other people, but on a more accelerated scale because of how the nature of their political ideology exists.
Yeah.
But on the plus side, superhero media will become more fascist. So like even more openly.
That's a plus.
I was shocked that I could, after Superman 2025 said that illegal immigrants are evil.
Yeah, that was the woke version. So get ready for the right wing take on that.
Oh, brother. Like when they kick out James Gunn, when James Gunn gets kicked to the curb for a second time,
when he gets gunned down.
When he gets gunned down, like take everything that's happened to Zack Snyder. Like at that point, it's like, come on, guys, we gotta stick up for our boy here, James. You know, like he's just trying his best out here.
At least the director's cut of Rebel Moon Part 2 was pretty good.
I never saw the director's cut.
The first, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
You're going down a path I cannot follow, Elvis.
I like those. I'm glad they didn't make
never
any
seen
more.
them.
I'm glad they didn't make any more, though. It's two perfect films. I don't need a third one. Just like Rise of the Merlin.
When is he making his Army of the Dead follow-up? That's what I want to know.
There was two, and they all got canceled. That's so crazy.
Yeah. There was like a prequel, and then they announced like there's going to be the animated thing, and then a sequel. Like the first movie sets up all these different threads. They're like, yeah, there's cyborg zombies, also
there's time
aliens,
travel.
Maybe. Yeah, there's a time loop happening.
I'm so glad I just never invested myself in any of this bullshit.
Army of Thieves is pretty good, though.
I never watched that because he didn't direct that, right?
No, the guy who played the funny German guy in the Army of the Dead did, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think it's better than Army of the Dead
because it's just like a heist movie, right?
It's a heist movie while there's a zombie apocalypse happening in the background. Yeah.
No, that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah,
what I thought. That's why I thought Army of Dead was going to be a heist movie, and then it was like, no,
it's not. Barely even a zombie movie.
I thought that the Rise of Merlin was going to be a heist show as well. You know,
you said Rise of Merlin. It's Rise of the Merlin.
Oh, sorry.
It's like
not
the
proper. Yeah,
which is funny because that's only in the show. It's like they even call him the Merlin several times. That's so stupid. It's his name. It's just his name.
Say his name. Say his name.
So a couple of other things. So a couple other things I want to bring up, okay? Because these episodes are so facile, so hollow, so empty of characterization or plot that there's not really much to go on. So I'm gonna mention a couple things I noticed. Okay, as someone who likes the books. So when Merlin is freed from the hill people. Okay, it's because I was gonna say when Merlin after this time jump, but I realized there's like 7 time jumps in the show, so that wouldn't make any sense. But chronologically, when Merlin escapes from the hill people, the people who live on the ground, right? Um, he he is he goes back to his mom's house and he finds out his mom has remarried to the guy that Taliesin sang the song to.
Oh,
Right. And in the show, she doesn't get remarried. And you know why? Because you have to be loyal to your man after death. Otherwise, he gets cucked.
Yeah,
yeah.
and then we wouldn't sympathize for them, right?
Exactly. She
She
couldn't
would have
even
been a
wait.
harlot.
She couldn't wait to be reunited with Taliesin after death. My God, you can't trust women.
Even though she's immortal and like live forever.
She's immortal. Yeah.
And on that note, it is weird that they make the decision where they're like immortal and that she has not aged a day. And it's like they're the same fucking age talking to each other. I'm just like, I don't like seeing this.
They
You know,
never
like,
never feel like mother son. Like
Yeah.
if anything, like the vibe kind of feels like slightly incestuous.
Okay, no. To be honest, I was kind of wonder if they're gonna set this up, but Morgan Le Fay wants to fuck Merlin in the sequel books. You know, and so like this aunt, and she's like, "You're my aunt." Like, yeah, but our magic together would be like so fucking strong, you know. And I wonder if they would even touch that. if they was
Well,
ever gonna
and
do
she's
sequels.
evil, so she can pitch that. He would just have to like not even consider because he needs to be like pure and noble. So like you can have the evil like pagan
Temptress.
villain. Like yeah, she can be into incest. I guess that's fine.
Okay, so but I do want to bring up though one other thing. Okay, is that yeah, no, I want in the book. You mentioned the immortality thing. In the book, the age difference between Taliesin and Karis is only like 9 years. Okay, because when we first see his chapter, he's a baby. We see her first chapter, which happens parallel. Again, these are happening parallel. She's like 9 years old. So the age difference is only 9. I found it so fucking insane in the show, where his first scene as a little baby, and then we see
She's
her
a
first
full
scene.
adult in
Yeah,
fighting bulls.
and then it says 20 years later, and he's an adult. So she's 20 years older than him. It's crazy. Dad, 11 years on that for no reason.
No, like, and it feels so weightless too in the way that the show's delivering it as well, right? Like the fact that these time jumps are happening and then these characters are just there, it doesn't even feel like they're storytelling decisions. It just kind of feels like these are the characters we hire, the actors we hired. It's just the way it has to be. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, it's just weird choices all around.
It is weird. So let's see here. As I mentioned, they add like 2 additional fight scenes that don't happen in the book. Let me go over them because they necessitate characters being dumb for no reason, and it makes the show feel really aggravating to watch in a way that isn't pleasant because it forces the show to go down a path that like why is it even happening? Why is this even here? So one, okay, when they go to Merlin's old castle where he was king, and we don't even see him being king in this show. He's like king for like fucking 8 chapters in chronologically in the book. We skip past that even the flashbacks, right? But we go back to his king. The guy's son is like, "Oh, we gotta kill Merlin so I could be king," and then Uther is like, "Yes, I'm with your plan." For some reason, that doesn't happen in the fucking book. It does like that. He goes to that place. He immediately says, "I don't want to be king anymore. I'm just here to ask for your help, man." And the guy says, "Okay, I'm glad you let me be king. Let's help you out." But no, now we have to have like this entire like full episode on shenanigans that don't matter. And then the second time is we meet Igraine's father way earlier in the show, and he's like, "I want to fight Aurelius by trial by combat. I don't believe that he should be High King." And we spent an entire episode on that shenanigans. But no, in the book, it's like, well, I was one of the generals here fighting in the war. We won. I think Aurelius is a really cool guy. I want my daughter to marry him. But no, we had an entire full episode to include more fights because we used up all the fights already. I put him at the beginning of the fucking in this half of the season, so we need more fights. Otherwise, we're gonna have less to do. The planning is non-existent. It's in service of nothing.
It's all because their idea of a conservative Game of Thrones is what it willed this into existence. And it kind of like, if you squint your eyes, you start to kind of see it. But when you open your eyes and you try to actually take in the information that you're being given, you're like, no, this is just bullshit. Like, they have no idea how to construct this.
It's
so
just
like
to be badass.
Yeah, and not
But
even
it's not
badass.
even it's
like,
not even successfully badass. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a situation where just like, why would I want the diet version of Game of Thrones to begin with? And also, like, if I am a conservative and I'm looking for media, why would I go to fantasy first? Like, this reeks of like somebody who wanted to do this, but then took a bunch of concessions in their adaptation out of like how they were worried about being perceived rather than like actually telling a good story.
Yeah, but it's also about like we have to have like big fights where people are always talking about like honor and like I am the strongest and like, but yeah, then you can have the part where like I show mercy because I beat you, like we're brothers in arms now, like, and it's just it just keeps happening. It's like pointless because who gives a fuck about any of this? And then you ruin a scene that doesn't even happen in the show because at the end of all this, you only have 8 minutes left, and you just show a montage, and then you roll the credits, and you fucking ruin this book.
Yeah, but the sword is in the stone, so
Yeah.
Who's to say whether it was bad or not? Yeah, fuck this show. If people are looking for, besides the books, like if people are looking for like something that more successfully blends like modern fantasy sensibilities, like they want like hardcore Arthurian legend, like people should check out the game Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon. It's like a Oblivion-esque RPG, open world RPG. It's with its own take on Arthur. It's like a timeline where Arthur failed to like stop this plague, the Red Death, and it's like hundreds of years after that, and you have to like pick up where he like failed. It's pretty cool so far.
That sounds cool. This okay. I don't. What else is there to say about this? We can
Nothing.
apart. We can talk about other stuff that happened, like
What happens?
like
this thing is weightless, man. Like unfortunately, I feel like we did cover all of it in terms of like what people would like take away from it. All of this, like if somebody was earnestly trying to sit down and like get a beat by beat playthrough of like what they experienced, like for what? It's almost like the answer, like some things get wikis and some things don't, almost.
Yeah, like
the fans didn't even complete the wiki for this. Is like the episodes, they only went up to like episode 5 or something, maybe even 4. Like they didn't those are supposed to be the most dedicated fandoms that fill in the wikis. Like they don't even give a shit.
We could talk about stuff like one other thing I noticed that I thought was really fucking strange was so there's a whole part where Vortigern, okay, the main guy that the first guy, the disc 1 final boss here that Merlin helps Aurelius and Uther fight, right? When he gets killed, like in the book, like should we kill his son? And then Uther and Aurelius like, no, we don't kill kids here because he's still a little kid in the book. Like we don't just exile him. We have to do the right thing, and that's what makes Merlin go like, wait a minute, Aurelius and his brother, man, they could be something. I spent the last 10 years shitting in the woods, so I can't be king. So one of these guys might have it because they didn't kill this little kid. So, which is fun. And then, but they're like, but everyone says like, but you have to. What if he comes back, and with an army to avenge his father? And they're like, even if that's the case, we'll have to deal with it then. But we're not going to kill a kid now. That's not right. And then what ends up happening? He ends up coming back with his own army and causing issues. But they kept their moral code strong. In this one, he's an adult man, and then he leaves. They exile him still, and then he gets killed immediately by like a Saxon guy. And so there's not that like okay, it did come back around. They just kill him off to make the Saxon villain look cooler and more badass. You ruined the fucking theme about like how you should do the right thing, even if it bites you in the ass. You have to keep true to yourself because they don't ever have to, be confronted with their decision anymore.
Is him cutting off his like father-in-law's arm? Is that in the book?
No, because they don't fight, as I mentioned. They added that fight in because they needed more fights. In the book, the guy just comes like, "Oh man, I'm so glad we won. Marry my daughter so I can be your father-in-law."
Yeah, and then later, like he doesn't seem to mind that he got his arm cut. He's pretty pro Merlin.
Which is insane because again, that's one of the whole thing is that then he Aurelius and like Aurelius Hooper and Igraine and that guy again is the whole last main part is like this giant mess that no one should care about. Merlin's like, why is this becoming the big deal? Why does everyone care about who marries who? We saved the day, and he has to just deal with this, and that's so good because like the issue wasn't like this big villain. It's just that people can't get over their petty bullshit to work together. It's like Game of Thrones. That's the Game of Thrones stuff, you know. That would have been really Game of Thronesy, but they don't. They don't do that. They skip over it. They don't have the budget. They don't care about it. Whatever.
Well, the quote from Jeremy Boring, he said, like, Game of Thrones was subversive when it came out due to its nihilism, but we're subversive in the time we're coming out because of our rejection of nihilism. And I mean, it doesn't even feel like a repudiation of nihilism. Also, that's some kind of simplistic. I haven't even read the Game of Thrones books, but those stories are like I would say straight up hopeful, but they do trend towards like, hey, you will get fucked over, but doing the right thing is still important.
Exactly. And that's what this book is like too. Like Merlin at the end of the day is like, well, they're gonna kill each other, and I have to protect this little baby. And he's had visions about Arthur throughout the book. Like he said, he's able to see Arthur. But the thing is, like, he's so stupid. He's so stupid that he doesn't understand that when he's trying to save this little baby's life because Uther is so jealous that it might be Aurelius's kid. Like there's a chance it might be his brother's kid because his brother has died. He didn't kill him, but he's like, I would have. He's like, I would have killed him, but he died before I could kill him. But he's so jealous of his brother that he might beat his kid's dad. He's planning to kill him. That when Arthur is like holding this little kid, running away with this little kid, he doesn't understand until after he's handed off the kid to like an adoption, witness protection kind of thing. Until like chapters later, it was like, I wonder who Arthur is, and everybody's like, fuck, it's that kid, isn't it? It's a little baby I just gave away. And he runs back off. That's the book ends.
Yeah,
the book ends with him like running off, like, I need to get back to that kid. What was I thinking? And he just runs. And that's where the book ends. It's so good.
That would have been great, and it makes your hero more relatable because like if he is like can't fully because it's a good way to counterbalance someone being like omniscient or all knowing is like they can't even fully interpret their visions. It'd be kind of like Jesus in The Last Temptation where he's like not even sure what God wants him to do most of the time.
Yes, it's funny. It's like he thinks so highly of himself. He misses the obvious, and it's great. Like, and the thing, right? Even he risks everything. He's given up on saving Britain at this point when he saves baby King Arthur's life. He's given up. He's like, I can't save this country. I can at least save this little kid because he doesn't deserve any of this. And it's like that's something keeping true, even though like the consequences of your actions might not be what you expected or want. And and again, they just wanted something really black and white, really simple, and it becomes so simple that you don't really even understand why Merlin does what he does at the end. Like he's like, okay, he has this vision of everyone arguing, so he just plunges the sword into stone and runs up and leaves. Like it's so deflated, it's so limp-wristed.
He read ahead in the scripts. He's like, yeah, that sword's supposed to be there. I better put it there.
In the book, he's like, I gotta distract people while I run away to find this little baby I gave up.
He eats locusts and honey when he's in the wilderness, like John the Baptist. That's something. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, no. The book is really fun. And this is just it focuses on the wrong things, and I think that on a pre-production level, on the script level, that was the issue, because you didn't need all this. I think they could have made something with the budget they had and the time they had and the places they had to make something really good.
Don't blow it all on the battles
yeah.
that suck anyway, and then focus on like building out like the characters and a world that's coherent, like that is actually readable in terms of like that I know where you are and I know what these characters like believe and are fighting for.
And they added
Here's how you
balancing.
fix it.
Yeah.
Like here's how you fix it. Everything that you guys have been bringing up about like the source material, right? Just do that. Do it over 5 episodes, right? And don't like feel the need to add extra shit because you're insecure. Like the whole project here is just in response to something else. And instead it's based on a source material. It should be leaning on what the source material was rather than, any kind of superfluous conversation that's happening around this project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I completely agree. It really does put the books itself on a back burner. It doesn't feel confident enough into what made those work. So it's adding in elements of what it thinks will be popular by extension and from other things.
Yeah, it's a very cynical adaptation.
Yeah. And that's why I don't understand if Jerry Boy, like, I really love these, but I had a band when I was in college that I named the band after the books. Like, really? Then you had all this time. You're like 50 years old. You had like 40 years, and you still don't understand what made these okay.
His heart wasn't in it, not like Lady Ballers. Like you can tell he cared about that. But
he did. He was like, I'm saving myself for my wife. We're gonna get remarried.
Imagine if this show had like Ben Shapiro as like a lord over a kingdom.
It would be more interesting. At least Jordan Peterson should show up in it.
He's like the court jester. Me lord, like.
But he's having like delusions from mold. He's like seeing shit. He's like,
the future. I've seen terrible nightmares. Things beyond
Kermit?
your wildest dreams.
Is that Kermit?
You do Kermit the Frog and you do Jordan Peterson. That's what you need to do. It's just my affected Kermit to get that to the point.
That's pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. There's nothing else to talk about. It's like we could spend some time on like, oh, but here's what happens in the other ones. But like that's not relevant because it's not going to any follow up. This is dead in the water. And maybe like 30 years, 40 years from now, someone does something with the books that's actually good.
Yeah, that's the worst part is that we need to like wait now, like wait for the timer to run out until someone else can get the rights and then you actually do something maybe good with it.
Actually, this is a question I want to pose to you, Elvis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to hear what your dream version of this production would be, right? Like, give me director, like cast, like format, like what is the right way to make Rise of Merlin specifically?
Merlin.
Rise of the Merlin. And again, you skip the first book. You maybe have like a flashback middle of the season, like one episode only, because a lot of that stuff, and I think there's a lot of fun stuff. I mean, with Merlin's grandfather, really great stuff, but it's not relevant. You start with the first book. You start with Merlin itself. You start the narration, but you get the narration down pat. You get the fucking you hit the ground running with it, because this one's like they were going to kill our family. No, you go full on Fargo. Noah Hawley, the guy who did Patriot. That guy,
Steve Conrad. We were just talking about
Steve Conrad, yeah, because he was actually originally going to be doing the Dunk and Egg show, and
that would have been interesting.
They replaced him with Ira Parker. I think it's fine. Ira Parker did a great job, but like something like that, someone who has like a bite to him, as we were talking about. Steve Conrad, I love his shows. He did, he did Patriot. He did what's that? The one with Jimmy Simpson.
It's a Perpetual Grace.
Yeah, Perpetual Grace. Limited.
I didn't realize that new DTF St. Louis is also him.
I need to watch that.
Yeah, that's why I'm way more interested now.
Yeah, because it looks so generic.
I know nothing of any of these things, so I'm just
Patriot
like,
is so
what
good.
is this world?
Patriot is amazing. The let's see, what's it called? The dynamics of structural flow. Yeah. That's the thing in Patriot. It's about this. Let's talk about Patriot for a little bit. Patriot is great. It's about this guy who's clearly recording a suicide note in like the present day, talking about a mission he sent his son on in 2004 in the past. and we see like his son who's like was an operator, like an operator, who has huge PTSD. He was like completely depressed and is like separated from his wife, and he's on this mission. And he just can't get his head in the game. He keeps lots of really Fargo Coen Brothers mishaps keep piling up. And basically it's great. We never got to see it. It had an ending, but you never got to the full end because it was clearly the reason why this guy in the future is like, or present, is doing a suicide note because it all came to light. He had a congressional hearing and everything, and everyone went down. So he's basically recording a suicide note in the framing device, and it's great. You should watch it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard great things about it. It's on Amazon.
It's like good Barry,
It's a good pitch.
I don't like Barry season 1 to 3. I like Barry season 4. This is like if every season of Barry was as good as season 4.
I'll stick up for specific episodes throughout, because there'll be things even in the first season. Like I like the episode of Barry where he like kills his friend and then he has to go do Shakespeare. Like I think that's like the ideal juxtaposition of like that tone that I wanted from the whole show. But the show doesn't live in that tone the whole time.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, someone like him, someone who can capture like the wittiness and like the humor, but also just like the juxtaposition between all of that and just like the really hard parts, the really hard moments. So there's a part like Uther basically again he goes crazy with rage and jealousy. His brother is dead. He finally has the girl, but like there's a overlapping period of time where they both had her, and so he just goes insane. And he's like the part where like Merlin like walks into the throne room and he sees the guy just polishing his sword while his wife is giving birth in like the next room, and Merlin's like he's gonna fucking do it. He's gonna do it. He's gonna fucking do it. He's trying to hype himself up to somehow trick this guy into like not paying attention while he steals the baby. And it's so great. It's like a really dark moment. Like he's just like fully, Colonel Kurtzing with his sword, waiting for that kid to come out. It's great. Like wait, I mean Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
And so someone who could capture those kinds of things. I don't know actors or anything like that, but just anyone who is willing to like really sort of sell that tone. Like, anyone that like from Fargo would be fantastic. Fargo always is great with that tone too, the TV show.
Dan Stevens. I'm just thinking of people from other Noah Hawley shows.
and just do the book. Just do the book. It's not hard. It's very funny, and it has a great pace to it. The other books where things get kind of wonky because then there's interquels and stuff, and a lot of it gets really repetitive and incestuous, and then there's this whole subplot with twins that never gets resolved. So whatever. But yeah, there's good bones here. There is. We just never got to see it.
Rats. That's a shame. It really fell for what because like what Boring got popular from was even from the Daily Wire stuff. Like he made like razors but not woke. He made coffee but not woke.
Yeah.
Right? And it was just like drop shipped bullshit that he was just like repackaging and selling, right? And what this show ends up feeling like at the end of the day. Like all the heart and the soul that could have been in whatever version of this property that in adaptation could have existed is gone because it's instead obsessed with trying to meet whatever kind of quota it wants to become. And it's a shame. It's not even a square peg in a round hole. They're missing the hole entirely, and it's just a shame to watch unfold.
Yeah, and it really is because, like, it's for all its flaws, and the show captures flaws that are in the book too. The books are not flawless. Like the weird focus on religion is not balanced well. Like the whole thing where in the show Taliesin, when he sees the burning bush and he like starts screaming and his skin starts peeling off, and that's in the book. That's like verbatim from the book. It's never gets any better. It's always like there's a part where King Arthur is like trying to defeat another Saxon horde because they just keep coming back. There's like a chapter dedicated to a prayer that Merlin says, and it's like, okay, we get it, they're religious, and so it's not perfect, but it's just more to it. And it's a shame they will never get to see that, and that it it got focused on to this to this extent,
Or at least we won't see it for a while. It'll be a while before someone else gets to take a stab at it.
Yeah.
Maybe Denis Villeneuve, when he's done with.
Whoa! Don't punish Elvis like that.
Yeah, no, that's about it, really.
I'm thinking Timothy Chalamet is Merlin.
That wouldn't be that.
Right
Again, he was great in Marty's Again, Marty's of Bremen, that's your Merlin. The moment he sees the moment he sees Baby Arthur, he starts crying.
Yeah, he's just like this.
Tears for Fears plays.
I see this Baby Arthur, and I just think to myself, God, I hope that they're not a ballet dancer or an opera singer.
So relevant. Your references are off the hook, man.
It's just a sick reference, man.
It's weird that became a controversy.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was dumb. I watched it from afar. I didn't even.
I mean, it's the weeks leading up to like the Oscars, so I feel like anything. We're someone's cited better than I could state it. Like that, we're really just hungry for the controversy of the Amelia Perez actress's tweets. Like that, like those were so like that. That's a controversy. But we don't have anything that good this award season yet. Maybe one, I don't know. Well, someone posted something bad that we'll find out about.
True.
In due time.
So, I was actually kind of surprised. I was kind of hoping this would be like more crazy. This is such a boring thing. And that's the thing. Conservative media, they're so focused on like being so strict about what they put out that there's no room for any individuality or personality or personal stamp. And you're left with just a muddle wash. At least we talked about Scream 7. Scream 7, detestable movie. But at least we could talk about it.
Yeah, it made like baffling choices that were at least like we could dissect. Like the choices here are devoid of like personality or like anything.
The key in like those previous things, there's a aspect of legacy, right? There was an idea that like at least at some point the thing that originally existed mattered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like not to disparage these original books, but like it seems like they're liked, but they're not like adored, right? Mm-hmm. And that is a key issue in adapting these source materials in this way. But then also just in terms of like what this is, there's nothing really, there's no inherent reason for me to care specifically for this thing. Ever,
the Daily Wire legacy is the more interesting hook, and even that's like pretty boring because it's just like, the project failed, and they failed whatever fucking quote. Another quote I saw from Jerry Boyer. He's like, "I wanted to make the A24 of conservative media." Like whatever the fuck that means. Brother. I mean, you failed, but I also don't know what you even mean by that.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, no, it's just a lot of like hubris and egotism. Like there's nothing about this that really screams like this needed to be something that was off of their chest. And in order for this to work, there needs to be some degree of legacy and actual passion, whether it be from the audience or from the people making it.
Like
you need to have a story that you are personally connected to and want to tell, other than just, hey, look, we can do a thing kind of like the thing you like, and actually you can't do it, so you failed at that.
Yeah, because there's no personal stamp to it. It feels like it just exists. It just popped into existence, and now it's here. And who cares? Who was pushing for it? Who is the one that's giving it any kind of life? And it's like we mentioned, it's weightless, lifeless, and I barely remember it, but I'll remember.
I just watched that.
I watched it today. I watched all of this today, and it's just so. It's like I've already forgotten it. But I'll never forget like the book. The book is so fun, and I recommend it. All warts and all. Like, Hosanna, save me from this Scottish bastard and all.
Amen.
All right. So let's wrap it up. Any last thoughts about this thing?
Fuck the show.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah, F Daily Wire. And yeah. So let's see here. Let's get y'all up here. 1 second. So, Tony, why don't you let us know where we can find you?
Yes, there I am right here at poor old Rolo Tony on Twitter. You can also find me on These Guys Got Juice, the show I co-host with Doug.
Yeah.
Future podcast appearances that you can look out for. 2 Cent Film Critic. I'm going to be recording a podcast tomorrow evening on one of my favorite action films of all time, which is Shoot 'Em Up. Paul
Hell
Giamatti,
yeah.
Clive Owens.
I cannot
and
wait.
like that's one of those movies that like I've been excited to talk about since I've started doing podcasting. Love that movie and I can't wait to talk about it. And then also get ready for the return of Seeing Faces in Movies, a podcast hosted by Felicia on Twitter. It's going to be coming back and I'm going to be on there discussing Fritz Lang. So if you want to hear Fritz Lang noir talk, like get ready for that from me. But for now, I'll sign off and hand it over to Doug.
Okay. So, Doug, why don't you let us know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me here at the Doug Files on Twitter, where I actively hostile towards Scream fans, if you're into that. And then also, like Tony said, These Guys Got Juice. We've been putting out some cool stuff. We're doing weekly The Pit coverage, and we've also been going through the films of Matt Johnson. So we did his first film, The Dirties, and his most recent film, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, and then we're filling in the two in between. So there'll be Operation Avalanche episode coming out soon, and then also Blackberry. So look forward to that.
Yeah, Blackberry rocks, man.
Hell
Love that
yeah, it
movie.
does.
All right. So let's see here. So we're done with the Pendragon cycle. Yeah, I'm done with it too. See you guys next time. I'm not sure. We on next time. We're taking a little bit of break before we recharge. What do you guys think?
Recharge before because Children of Corn, right? That's the
Yeah.
next endeavor.
That's the next
I
event.
can't wait.
So week after next.
That sounds good.
Let's do a week after.
Let's do it.
Then week break, and then we are going to be back for Children of the Corn. Okay, get your bags ready for the popcorn. We're definitely in.
Get ready for the third movie with Charlize Theron.
Oh my God, she's in Urban Harvest.
Yes, she is.
So there's 10, right? Am I counting correct?
I think these are 11 or 12.
There's like 12, I think.
Fuck me.
That's like most of a year. Oh, not most of a year, but a fifth of a year.
Jesus Christ! Why do we keep doing this?
I don't know.
And I suggested Paranormal Activity after, so like this is a nightmare, but at the same time, a happy nightmare.
I mean, Paranormal Activity, that's only like half of Children of the Corn, I feel like, right? There's
geez, it's in comparison, it's like a breeze.
Well, obviously, we're gonna do like the Japanese one too. So
yes, please, Tokyo Night, a great movie.
I never saw that one.
It sounds good.
It's one of the best Paranormal Activity movies.
Fast and Furious. Okay, you hear it first. Week after next, we're doing Children of the Corn. See you then.
Bye-bye, people.